I'll just add them, no questions asked. So, okay, so first thing that we're going to do is all of you should have a brush that looks like this. Has everybody got one? So your brush, hopefully it's really dirty, because that's if you're brand new, this is going to be a little bit more difficult. And then you should have some powder that looks like this in a little container. And you're going to dip your brush into that powder. Now you don't want very much. That's the biggest issue that we run into. People put way too much powder on it. And then you can put a fingerprint on your powder container, or if you've got a cup or glass or something like that, you can do that. I like to use these floor tiles or wall tiles is what they call them, ceramic, and they're just really easy to take a print off of. And you're going to take your brush, and I've already put some fingerprints on here, and you're just going to lightly start brushing these. And you should start to see some prints develop. So everybody, whatever you're printing, go ahead and see if you can't get a print to develop. We'll see who can get one. So let's see. Jesse, did you get everything? You're muted.
I think I got everything.
Okay. Jillian, did you get everything?
Yes, I believe I did.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. So see how you guys can do on taking those prints. Once you get them, you're going to need a looks like this that should have came in your kit. If you haven't got one of these little cards, I will tell you a piece of tape will do just as good for our situation. If we were working a scene, I don't know that I would use just a piece of tape. On. Hey, has everybody got a print developed? So if you've got one developed, hold it up so I can see it. Let's see how we did. Come on, Zizi, you're gonna have to remember you got to do your senior test and demonstrate you can do that this year. The internet stuff is killing. You got that new white to him. I haven't read how to use it yet. We got a new crime scene kit. It was super heavy. I'm like, what in the world is in this thing? It was all paper sacks. I was like, this thing weighs a ton. It was evidence bags. And a light kit and a little bitty, almost disposable camera. So Jillian, did you be able to get a print?
Like 3 of them on here. You can't really see them through the camera, but I did them on a cup. I think I did it right because I can see 3 of them.
That's perfect. So what you're going to do this is going to be the hard part. You're going to take this little card here, and you're going to peel away this red part. It's going to try to rip on you probably. That is just the bad part about this. So you're going to have to really carefully start taking that away. And if you're wearing rubber gloves, that makes it really difficult. But normally on a scene, you would be wearing gloves if you were doing it. That way you didn't cross-contaminate your scene. Everybody getting that tape to peel away? Or are you having trouble like I did? Julian's like, yeah, I'm having trouble.
I looked through all my bags and I couldn't find any of the brush or anything.
Okay, you may not have one, and that's okay. You're still getting your points for being here and just watching.
Okay.
And you should get those eventually, and that's our fingerprinting. Now, next week, I believe we're doing casting, so you'll need that box, and then you need to make a handprint or a footprint, and it's kind of like pouring cement, but easier.
Okay.
Who's your RA? Or excuse me, your AC?
Right now it's Tyson.
Just email Tyson and tell him what you need, because I know that he was supposed to be going to Nevada either yesterday or today.
Okay.
He was there today.
He was there today? Okay. Well, he's got the
Yeah.
So I know that we have the extra key. And what he should give you should be a box, and it should look like the one.
Okay.
And it'll have all the fingerprint stuff in it.
All right.
That is a disposable DNA-free fingerprint kit.
There's instructions.
All students are supposed to get one, and that's what you didn't come in. Okay, so once you get the tape off, you're going to put the part over, the clear part over your fingerprint. You're going to sit down. So it looks like this. You're just putting the sticky over your fingerprint. And then pull it up pretty slow. That way it doesn't mess your fingerprint up.
What do you want to touch? It's kind of elastic.
Then you'll fold it back over. Once you get it like that, just fold the sticky part back onto the white backing card. And then you should have a recovered. And if you'll use your magnifying glass, you should be able to start looking at your pattern. So you should be able to look at it. And then I sent you some documents this morning, but we're going to look at them again here in a second. You'll see certain, as far as a loop, whirl, arch, that was in your fingerprint. Shared some documents with you guys, and you can look at those documents, and I've shared them on Blackboard and I shared them in here, but let's see here. This fingerprint guide, if you will look at that, you guys can start looking at what fingerprint pattern. Now, having not been on the other side of this, I don't know exactly what you guys are seeing. Can you guys tell me if you're seeing paperwork that says fingerprint ridge pattern? Hello?
I
Not
can
seeing
see it.
You can, Jillian, you can see it?
There we go.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so that is that is what you should be able to look at there. And now we're going to take another fingerprint here in just a second that's going to make it easier. But can you get to these files without me sharing them, or do I have to share them and then you can get to them?
I couldn't see them unless you like shared it on your screen.
Okay. Now, these are downloadable on your Blackboard site. So, and I would keep them. If you're in any other criminal justice classes, you've probably seen these before. I'm going to close out this one. Was everybody fairly successful on that one? Sort of. It's not as easy as it looks. So we're going to do one that's easier this time. So everybody should have an ink pad and a white balloon, right? So grab your ink pad and your white balloon, and you're going to have to take one of your gloves off. So what you're going to do is using your thumb because it's the easiest, and we'll make sure everybody's got their ink pad open. So what we're going to do is you're going to roll your print. When I roll, what I mean is you're rolling your whole thumb like this and get a good amount of ink on it. That's all you're doing. And one side of your balloon is going to have a little concave part in it. You're not going to roll your thumb in there. You're just going to touch it and pinch once and then let it go, and you should have a pattern there. So when you get that far, then you're going to blow. And the more you blow it up, the bigger your pattern gets. All right. Now you can start identifying your pattern a lot easier than you could if you just used your fingerprint that you took off of whatever you put it on. So this should actually show you what you're going there. For me, I can go ahead and start seeing the loops in my fingerprint. So I know that my fingerprint, the primary pattern is going to be a loop on my right thumb. Now, you can do this several different times. You can put other prints on there, but it's just one of those that all of your prints are probably going to have a little different pattern. So 10 prints, you're going to have 10 slightly different patterns, or they may be dramatically different. You may have a loop on one, a whirl on one, an arch on one. And then they just keep going down further and further as far as breaking those apart. So can anybody tell me what their patterns are? I'll make it easy again. I'm going to give you the finger guide back. So if you're looking at that, what pattern do you have?
Yes, please.
I think I have a central pocket whirl.
So everything is kind of in there. Now, if you've got access to it, if you'll print this off and then compare the prints right next to each other, it makes it a lot easier. So, and the only thing that we're really looking at is, do you have an arch? Does it go up and out? Do you have a loop, which means it starts on one side, goes to the middle, and goes back out? Or do you have that whirl where there's no in and out? So that's as far as we're going. But if you wanted to be a fingerprint examiner, you could have a whole bunch of different detail that you could study as far as this being a career for you.
How do you pronounce, is it ulnar arch or how do you
Yeah,
pronounce it?
Yeah, ulnar arch, that's the way you pronounce it.
Okay, I think I have that.
But you can use those other patterns, the other you to go ahead and make a little bit better comparison too. Did I turn it off too quick? I didn't tell you, but you do need a paper towel. Wipe your thumb off. They've got some good patterns. I can see their patterns from here on their balloons. Man, I wish I could do this in person.
Yeah. Stacy Barnett was asking me, she's like, so what's that like doing on video? I was like, not near as much fun.
No.
Do you have a battery charger for these?
Yeah, it's up there, plugged in. So, and they're probably charged by now because I set it in there probably
Oh, okay.
30 this morning. I would like to.
Doesn't really have a good description of it.
I have trouble with the first one, but I have an ulnar arch.
Okay, so you got an arch pattern as far as basics.
Yeah.
On your thumb. All right. Time we're going to do our last thing. Did everybody get a fingerprint card? Something that looks like this. Okay, so this is called a 10 print card. And if you look at the squares starting right here, it'll say our thumb, and then it'll work its way down, and the next one below that's going to say left thumb. So this is how we would take fingerprints if you were going to get a job where you had to have a background check. Law enforcement, teaching, medical, almost all those have to have a background check. And the way they do it is they take these fingerprints. Also, when we do like the child IDs and stuff like that, we take the fingerprints exactly the same way, even though it may say a child ID or background check. But the way you actually take a print, like we talked a minute ago, is you're going to roll the pattern. So the easiest way to do this is fold that fingerprint card right on the line. And you should have two of these, so don't worry about messing one of them up, where it looks just like this. So if you folded it right there, can you guys, I don't know if that makes it easier or not, can you see where I folded it right there on that line? And the only reason we're doing this is we're going to set it on the edge of a table. And if you bend it just like that, it makes it so much easier to actually take a print. Now, normally you would not take the print yourself. You'd have somebody else roll it for you. But what we want you to do is take your ink pad, and we want you to start at one fingernail. So if you were doing this, you're going to start at one fingernail and you're going to roll all the way to the next fingernail. So the way I'm doing my thumb is fingernail to fingernail, so that my whole thumb is covered everywhere. Ridge pattern, which ridge pattern just means your fingerprint. I want ink on that. Then, so everybody should have ink all over one of your right thumb's probably your best one, because that's the first square on every fingerprint card is that right thumb. Now, what you're going to do is, you can't see it very well, but I'm putting my thumb down on this card. And when I do, my fingernail is roughly going to be right at that edge. And what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to roll that print, and it's going to give me a fingerprint pattern. It's not round, it's square. So if you see your fingerprint is square, you did it right. If you've got one that looks like a fingerprint pattern that's kind of looks like an egg shaped, you didn't get the sides, and that's where it poses a little bit of an issue. And so you would work your way down that card and you would put all of your fingers, then you would go to your left hand, do those, and on the bottom it says 4 fingers, then your thumb as far as there. So right thumb, right 4 fingers, left thumb, left 4 fingers. And we're not going to do all of those today. That way our video is not really long for the people that, because a lot of people are working different things like that, and they're going to watch this at a different time. So now you know how to fingerprint somebody. So you can fingerprint yourself, and then you can use your ink pad and go fingerprint somebody else if you can get a volunteer. Now, I would suggest when you fingerprint somebody else, you're going to find it really difficult to manipulate their hands. So that's the hard part. If you were here, we would have you fingerprinting 2 or 3 different people, people shorter than you and people that were taller than you, smaller than you, bigger than you, to get what it feels like in real life to actually be doing that and to make somebody's hand go in that motion. We don't hurt them, but we have to make their finger roll that direction. And sometimes that's difficult. The older a person gets, their hand may be stiffer. If they have an amputation, so let's say that they've lost a finger to an accident, what we would do is actually write in their amputation. Or since we use computers in a lot of times now, we would just type that in there. This print was amputated. So, all right, does anybody have any questions over fingerprinting? Now you can take your kits and have fun with them. So fingerprint anything that you can fingerprint, enjoy yourself, go show somebody else now how to fingerprint. And you can use the balloon trick if you've got to do a demonstration speech at any one of your schools. This makes a great demonstration as far as speech classes go. And if you need something, just email Detective Williams or I. All right, guys, we will see you later. Got to remember how to stop it.
I'm trying to figure out how to use this new gadget.
Share now. Settings.